guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and in this video I'm going to talk about 5 cars that you must drive. Remember, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're already a subscriber, hit the notification bell. I post at least 3 videos a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, but many times I give you a 4th video, so you need to hit the notification bell so you don't miss that. Like and share this video so our channel can grow, and always leave a positive comment below. I'm a small YouTuber. I don't have a social media guy. I don't have a director. I don't have a cameraman. I respond to every single comment, so why not leave one? All right, so in this video, I'm going to tell you, as a car enthusiast, 5 cars that you must drive. Now, everybody's going to say in their videos, oh, drive a McLaren, drive a Lamborghini SVJ, drive a Ferrari F50. You're not going to get test drives of those cars. So I'm going to give you realistic cars you could probably drive either from a dealership test drive or maybe one of your friends being generous to let you drive their car. And then you'll see what these cars are all about. And even if you're not interested in buying these cars in particular, I think it'll give you a sense of what enthusiast cars are out there and why they're so popular. So the first car I'm going to tell you is an obvious one. I own one. I've owned 2 of these, the E46 M3. Now, what's so great about this car and why is there such a huge following? First of all, I think it's one of the best looking BMW M cars, or one of the best looking BMWs ever. I think they nailed it with the proportions, and I think this is going to be a good looking car. It's aged very well, and I think it's going to be good looking BMW classic for years to come. Right now, I would classify it as a modern classic. Now, here in the United States, it was made model years 2001 to 2006. The 2 that I've owned are 2003s. There are slight facelifts in model year 2003 and a half, where there be like minor differences, but overall, I think you're fine with any one of these model years as long as you get a good pre-purchase inspection and, of course, even more important, service records. So what's so great about the car? Well, what's great about the car is you have 2 transmissions, so whether you like automatics, dual clutch, or manuals, there's a transmission for you. It had a sequential manual, not a true automatic with the torque converter, or the manual. I prefer the manual way better, but I know some people do like SMG, so if you like that transmission, certainly get it. It came in a coupe or convertible. I think the enthusiast choice here is a manual coupe. I think this car is just the right size, so that's a big thing about it. I think the weight is right. I think the size is right. I think you can get a manual transmission. I think you can get a coupe. It's rear drive, which to me is very, very important in a sports car. Back then, most of the sports cars were rear drive. Now, for performance numbers and traction, and the only way you can get a better 0 to 60 time or a better Nürburgring time is obviously to go all-wheel drive. So you don't have the weight penalty of all-wheel drive, and I think it's much more fun to toss around a rear-wheel drive car. You can actually fit adults in the back seat, unless 2+2s. I've had friends, I'm 6 feet tall. I was able to six feet tall friends behind me. So you actually, even though it's a 2-door coupe, unlike cars today that are really 2+2s, you can fit people in the back seat, so you can take friends along with you. It's a very visceral car to drive. Why is it so visceral? Because instead of turbos, it's got a normally aspirated engine that revs to over 8,000 RPM. And to me, that is the star of the show. That S54 engine, I've had it in 3 cars, 2 2003 E46 M3 and my 01 S54 Z3M Coupe. And this engine is to die for. It'll give you a 0 to 60 of about 4.7 to 4.9 seconds. Maybe because these cars are older with high mileage, you might be 5.1, but it's still a visceral driving experience. If you drive this car in isolation and don't own a faster car, you will think this is a very quick car. It's got hydraulic steering. It's nimble. There's a big aftermarket community, and you can do tons of mods of these cars. You can make them the ultimate street car, the ultimate track car, and that's why I think this car is so good. So you need to know that it's so good, and you need to drive one. Now, a dealer, you might find some dealers that'll have one. Maybe you got some dealers that have a manual convertible and go test drive that. Maybe they don't want to give test drives on the coupes, but I was able to test drive mine at a regular dealership before I bought it. You probably know friends with manual E46 M3, so I think they would let you drive their car if you're responsible and respect it. Remember, when that car first turns on, the RPMs are limited until the oil in the car warms up, so you're probably not going to get up to 8,000 RPM. Get a feel for that car, and you'll see what a high-revving, naturally aspirated engine is all about. Speaking of high-revving, naturally aspirated engines, I think you really have to drive a Honda S2000. Now, probably, if you can't get an S2000, then definitely drive a Miata, and you'll see what a lightweight, nimble car is. Now, the S2000 weighs more than the Miata, so it's not the lightweight that the Miata is, but you get that high-revving engine. So I think if you like E46 M3s, E92s, M3s, I think you'll actually like the S2000. Depending if it's an AP1 or an AP2, here in the United States, model years were 2000. to 2009. 01 to 03, those 4 model years are AP1s, ref to 9,000 RPM. Then they raised the torque a little bit, lowered the red line, so you have the VTEC kicks in, about 1,000 RPM sooner. And then the AP2s, which I've owned 2 of in 04, 06, that went from 04 to 09 model year, is about 8,000 RPM. But you're still going to get a high revving visceral car. You actually feel that VTEC kick in. It's more like an on and off switch. So you'll be going, boom, you hit that VTEC. And I think this is what you'll learn about driving a Roadster. They all come in a manual transmission, so hopefully you can drive a manual. If not, please learn. And you'll get to know what that Honda is all about. It's a very reliable car. Some of these cars aren't reliable once they're modded. Tops can rip, so there's obviously different issues. I've done other videos on that. But you'll learn what the S2000 is all about and why the community loves them so much. Another car you should really consider, and these cars will keep getting better, 4 and 5 are really good. So car number 3 is the Hyundai Veloster N. So you can see my video review on this channel, and this car was so much fun to drive. If you can't drive a Hyundai Veloster N, then definitely try to drive a Civic Type R. I know most dealerships don't want to give test drives of these cars, but maybe you have a friend or belong to a car club or something, and somebody will let you drive. But the Hyundai Veloster N and the Civic Type R were great cars to drive. What I liked about the Veloster N, it was even the Civic Type R fun, but taken to almost a cartoonish level. Now, the car has a 4-cylinder turbocharged front-wheel drive, manual transmission, or now they have an available dual-clutch transmission. So the horsepower is 275, torque is 260, and the car is a blast to drive. One advantage of the dual-clutch, though I personally would get the manual transmission, is the dual-clutch gives you overboost, and the overboost torque is 278, I believe. So it makes it even more of a torque monster. Now, it's the funky car. You got the 3 doors, and I'm telling you, this car was so much fun to drive. Now, N mode, the car's alive in any mode, and the N mode was very stiff. So on my video, I couldn't really film it in N mode because the roads were so rough. The N mode really made it jarring. But even without N mode, this car with its pops and bangs and just fun to drive and noises it was making and shifting up and through the gears was one of the best, one of the most fun times I had reviewing a car. Now, it starts at about 28,000. I think the fully loaded one I drove was in the low 30s. So realistically, a target price could be $30,000 on these cars. And remember, these cars are going to depreciate, just like the Civic Type R. Even though it's minimal depreciation, there'll be some depreciation. You may be better to pick this car as a used buy at $25,000. What do you want, a Corolla or do you want a Veloster N? Definitely get the Veloster N. I think driving this car, you'll see what a little fun pocket rocket is all about. Front-wheel drive. If you haven't experienced front-wheel drive, probably more of you experience front-wheel drive than rear-wheel drive, but now that I've recommended 2 rear drive cars with high revving engines, we're doing a turbocharged front wheel drive. So we're trying to run the whole gamut here of attainable cars that you should be able to test drive. So definitely check out the Veloster N. It is great fun at a great price point. Could be your commuter car, could be your fun weekend car, could be your track or autocross car as well. All right, now the next car on our list is a car that I love, Lotus. So the Lotus Evora, whether it's the S, the 400, you're seeing the 400 here, or the GT that we just drove a couple weeks ago, these are phenomenal cars with about 400 horsepower, give or take, depending on which model you choose. You got a great manual transmission, and you actually have a very good automatic transmission. So we did an Evora S review on this channel with the torque converter automatic, and it was a really, really good car, because the thing in this car is not, you're not really buying it for the transmission like you may be on an S2000 or some other cars. You're really buying it for the handling. So if you want an automatic and like an automatic, get it. The automatic in this car is very, very good. I prefer the sweet spot to me, since the GT just came out and they're just starting to do discounts on it now and leases. To me, the buy here would be what you're looking at, a 400 with a manual transmission. Yeah, 400 horsepower. It's a very quick car. You have hydraulic steering, and the handling is amazing. It's worth every penny of the car. Now, Lotus does have some shortcomings. They're expensive. They're expensive to maintain. It's hard to find a good mechanic. The build quality isn't great. Even the GT that I drove, where windows were fogging up. So you don't have the quality of a Porsche by any means, but you do have something special. You probably do have something more special than a Porsche. You won't have the resale value of one either, but they make the Evora 400 GT in such limited numbers. After that initial depreciation for a couple years, I think you'll be just fine. But this is one of, like this car, if I could have bought this one after I drove it, I would have. That's how good the car is. I think any enthusiast has to drive one. And because there's regular Evoras, Evora S's, 400s, and GTs, a dealership, they'll let you test drive a GT. They really will. They know the sales and the test drive for the cars. And if you know somebody that even has a base Evora, Evora S, definitely drive it just so you can experience the hydraulic steering and the handling. All right, and the last car on our list is not last. It's probably one of the best ones. It's the Mustang GT 350R. Now, you're probably not going to get to drive an R. I was lucky enough to have a friend that bought one, so I got to do this video here. One of the best cars I ever drove, one of the best sounding cars I ever drove. But just drive a GT 350. There's enough of them out there and a lot of used ones on the market that I think you can get a test drive from a dealership, or you may be lucky enough to have a nice friend that'll let you drive his. You have normally aspirated V8, over 8,000 RPM. So if you love the E92 M3 like I do, I had an E90 M3, which is the four-door version, for 6 years. If you love that car, but you think prices are getting too expensive, or you're going to have rod bearings, repairs, throttle actuators, you only can find dual clutch cars and you want to stick or something, get this car. It doesn't have the build quality of the M3, but I don't think it's going to have the maintenance issues in the future. I think the maintenance will be minimal compared to an old BMW, and I think it'll hold its value. I think the GT350s are starting to bottom out now, and now's a good time to pick one up where you can drive it for a few years, maybe even 5 years, and won't lose too much money on it. A lot of colors to choose from. Great thing about this car, it only comes with 6-speed manual, so you don't have to worry about any of it. You don't have to look through ads and see automatics or sequentials, just the manual transmission. You got an 8,000 RPM redline, over 8,000, and this car sounds amazing. And for a Mustang, it's probably the best handling Mustang you can buy. Now, there are some downsides. I mean, the fit and finish isn't nowhere near BMW or any of the German cars, but it's still an amazingly fun car to drive. For the money, I think this is one of the best modern Mustangs out there. Try to get an R if you can. You can get an R in the 60s if you wanted to purchase one. I think that's a better buy than a GT 350 in the 50s. I think the R is made in limited numbers, and obviously is more special, has more one-of-a-kind carbon fiber wheels, has stuff that the GT doesn't have, and it really takes that GT 350 that I love so much to another level. So if you were going to buy one, I would focus on the R. For this purpose, just to understand as a car enthusiast why this car is so good, you can just drive a GT 350. You're getting 80 or 90% of that experience, and you'll see how good a high-revving, normally aspirated engine is in this Mustang and how good this Mustang actually is. All right, guys, so let me know in the comments, what else would you add to this list? There's other cars. These aren't the only 5. So I want to hear what you guys think, but definitely drive these 5 cars either from a dealership test drive, your enthusiast friends, and you'll find out what they're all about. And these are certainly 5 cars you must drive. Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, like and share this video so our channel can grow, and always leave a positive comment below because I will respond to it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.